from Perth, Western Australia. This week I painted a fully intuitive painting. That was my intention. I think as artists we always endeavour to paint intuitively, but with ones like this that are strictly, I guess, titled intuitive paintings, the intention is to sort of have no outcome. So you're basically letting the painting unfold as it will, and there's no intention from the start type thing of what's going to happen. So it's a bit of a different process, and it's always really interesting, because I think when you're painting something from life or a photo and you've got an idea of where you're wanting to go with it, it's very different from when you're not. And it always sort of plumbs the unconscious, I think, because things kind of can come forward that can be a little bit surprising, and it's always a challenge to sort of get yourself out of the way. And I think you realize when you're doing a painting like this how strong your inner critic is, and those voices that tell you whether something's worthy or not. So this painting behind me, I'm not sure even if it's finished or not. I'm just gonna, let it unfold and accept sort of where it's at and what it is. And I realized as well, I wanted to show you a book as well that I got. It's about 12 years old, Brave Intuitive Painting by Flora Bowley. And she's just got some amazing advice on this style of painting, and it's such a readable book with so many good quotes, and things like being gentle with yourself and others, and she's got prompts, tools that she uses. Like she'll talk about using things like stamps and rollers, and things that you would find maybe in primary school classroom art class type thing. I tried all of those sort of tools in the past. So far they've never really worked for me. I prefer to use mixed media and use the back of my brush to make marks, and I use paper and things like that. But the point of it is just to sort of let yourself explore and play and enjoy. And the other thing that was a real anchor for me in doing this painting was her idea of the push and pull. So I found I had so much chaos sort of on my canvas that I really felt really stuck with it. And so that's the idea of sort of like pushing back things that are not working, or that you want to move to the background or completely paint out, and emphasizing the things that you do. So sort of a lot of painting around things and over things, and letting it sort of the image come forward like that. So you're making sense of a bit of chaos in a way. And it's a beautiful book, fantastic techniques, and like I say, some prompts as well, some quotes from poets. There's so many ways that you can launch off into a painting like this rather than just going in blind. You can use poetry, or you can use like the idea of a movie or a dream. I've been painting my dreams lately. But I think when you sort of just in a tactile way put paint to canvas and let the images sort of emerge, it's very interesting. It's a very interesting endeavor. Anyway, hope you enjoy. Bye. Just before I show you my painting process, I thought I'd do a little demonstration that I learnt from when I was studying art therapy way back when I was studying counselling. Just a warm-up activity, and it's a really good go-to one. It's very, very simple. I'm using just oil pastels. You can use absolutely any materials that you have on hand. For me, the messier and the sort of less fine, I guess, the better. And I'm just got some paint on hand as well, which I may or may not use, just my Jo Sonja paints. So all it is you basically, I guess, take a big deep breath and close your eyes, and you're just basically just doing any sort of shapes that your hand is really wanting to do. Just whatever energy you've got, whether you're do a lot of marks or just a few. And then it's about finding the shapes within within what you've scribbled, and so you can stop at any time. And don't sort of overthink it, I guess. Just try and be intuitive. I really often change the shapes a little bit. I'll do a little bit of crayon resist, actually. I have a little bit of, this is acrylic ink. So the point of this is not to create something, you know, beautiful. It can be anything. It's really just an experiment, and you can take it as far as you want or leave it. It can be abstract. It can be slightly figurative. There's really no rules at all. And by doing a few of these, you kind of loosen up just even in your body and in your hands and things like that. So yeah, it's just about having no expectation on what's going to emerge. And to do that, often, I know this is sped up in the video, but to go quite quickly is always good as well, because it gives you a chance, your brain doesn't have a chance to kind of catch up to what you're doing. Okay, so I'm painting over a canvas, an old-ish canvas that I finished probably about 2 years ago. It's a really good canvas, just with some white water-based enamel as the gesso, and it's picking up like lots of texture already, which I love. But yeah, I've just been feeling like I'm a little bit too, I don't know, just I'm getting too finicky, and I'm making all these rules for myself, which I need to not. I need to break some. And I thought the best thing to do is to do an intuitive painting, just with no outcome. Anyway, feel free to paint along with me if you fancy. That would be awesome. So I'm using papers here just to create some texture, and I often use, I've got a few old books that I use for a substrate, which is just the base, the layer of your painting, the initial painted surface that you work on. So it's a pre-worked surface, I guess, and none of them really show through. I'm not really concerned about whether I'm going to paint over the papers, and whether they show through or not, it's more about the process. But you'll see, yeah, this painting goes through a lot of changes. You can see here I'm using a similar technique, well, the same technique, using scribbles and finding the shapes. And that was quite interesting. I think I changed it a lot even from that. So it really was just part of the process, honestly. It was just about layering paint, and seeing what came out. It's interesting how we as humans are prone to creating rules for ourselves and limitations. And even just the act of um, going into a piece of artwork or doing something creative for the sole purpose of the creation itself is so liberating. I think the words that it really conjures up is freedom and play, and just being open to your imagination and open to being surprised. And it also opens the door to what's going on in your unconscious mind, because when you create with no outcome sort of in mind, it allows the unseen realm, which is unconscious to you, to come forward often. And even in saying that, like, you can't sort of put any sort of ideas that it has to go that way. It just happens so naturally, and it's surprising. So I guess it's just putting yourself in the position of being able to be surprised by your art. And there's something, and it's so connected to our inner child, and the way we've really lost our sense of play from when we were children. Like, we've really lost a lot in becoming adults and becoming really responsible. We've lost a lot of the ideas that we have as who we really are on a soul level. And doing things like art really brings us back to that place that we were always meant to be in, I guess. I've been looking at this one, and some of the mark making I don't like. I did like a little, I was just playing around with oil pastel just to see what, because I want to get rid of this figure here. There's something about it I don't like. And maybe I should just focus on what I do like about it. So what I do like about it is I like this, and I like some of the marks that I've got down here, which is the watery paint over normal paint. So it's sort of creating a bit of texture. So I like that. I like those textures. And yeah, there's a few things I probably shouldn't get too discouraged. It's always the messy middle, isn't it? Okay, so here I got rid of the figure in the background, and it has a dreamlike quality, which I'm wanting to really emphasize, I think. in the back of my mind. I wasn't really thinking logically about it, obviously, because it's an intuitive painting, but yeah, I wanted to emphasize that sort of sleeping child, it looks like, and then some of the shapes that I put in earlier reminded me of doves, so yeah, it just felt really natural to put those 3 dove shapes in, or the other 2 to complement the one that was already there. And once I'd done that, I felt a lot happier because I felt like it had the composition. I felt like I think I learned a bit about myself as an artist. I think that I really do appreciate using line and then use that as a launching pad type thing. So, or to sort of, when I'm doing any sort of painting or drawing, yeah, using line just helps me. It just feels natural for me as an artist to use that to start off with. There's something really joyful about just playing with paint and giving yourself permission to change things around and be a little bit directionless and bring chaos into the canvas and then order it again and then bring more chaos in. And that's essentially what I did. And I learned a lot about myself. But when I look at the painting as it's evolving now, yeah, I can see a real dreamlike sort of Alice in Wonderland kind of theme coming through. Thought I'd show you my palette. I'm using global paints and other acrylic paints like Atelier and Matisse. That's a cool yellow, and I've got, oh, that's a Liquitex colour. That's like a sap green. I've got magenta, that's Dioxane purple, and of course white. And that's Pacific blue and cadmium red, like a warm red, and Indian yellow, and a little bit of phthalo blue as well in there. These are very common colours for me to use. Yeah, I had to put in a face on the moon. It reminds me of picture books. It's got a sort of retro kind of charming feel about it. I don't know. Maybe it's back in my childhood when I read Enid Blyton books or something, but yeah, I love that. Yeah, around here we start to see some of the push and pull that I was talking about earlier, like pushing some things back into the background and pulling some things forward. And I really wanted colour, and then it just looked like, honestly, it looked like a rainbow, and it was too much. It was like there were too many elements that were competing, and so now I'm starting to think about composition and colour, and I'm obviously wanting it to work as a painting, so I'm in a little bit of a different headspace. But yeah, at the same time, I feel so good because it has been a painting that has evolved. It's been something that has been, it's like an image that wants to come out, and so I still consider this obviously an intuitive painting, but I've taken it to the next level of completing it, and so to a point where I'm happy with it as a final product, which I wasn't intending on doing necessarily. I think it's a habit that I have as an artist, that I like to bring things to completion. But there is a lot of play in there, and I don't regret any of the swings and roundabouts and going back and forth that I did on it, because I learnt so much, and to me overall it has such a strong message about the dream world and the subconscious, and just wanting to nurture that, like all the flowers coming out. I'm just thinking of it now, like that's just really wanting to nurture that and to encourage growth in that area. Like I've got little raindrops almost coming down, which could be teardrops or raindrops, and the 3 doves, I always seem to oscillate towards doing things like this in 3. Yeah, the number 3 always speaks to me of unity and union, agreement, harmony, all those beautiful words, all those wonderful ideas. And just in this final bit here, I'm really just wanting to emphasize the things that I want to stand out, like the doves and the girl. So I'm deepening the colors. So yeah, I'm sort of happy with it, but I felt that it was a wonderful, expression and a wonderful project, I guess. And thanks for watching if you've watched this far, and also if you have been doing intuitive paintings or you've done them in the past, I'd love you to leave a comment and tell me about your process and what you like to do. So here I brought it to a place where I'm happy with it. I've got a lot of oil pastel in there, especially in the bright orange and red colours, and there's a lot of texture. I brought out some more paper as well in the girl's shirt. So yeah, hopefully it's a painting that really rewards the looking, I guess, that you can look at it and see more things in it. There's certainly a lot of texture going on there. Thanks so much for watching, and please subscribe if you like the video and give it a thumbs up. Thanks, bye.